Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. I'm Anna, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Anna. And I'm really excited about today's topic because it's something we all deal with, whether we realize it or not. We're talking about the art of negotiation.
That's right. Negotiation isn't just for business executives or lawyers in fancy boardrooms. It's something we do every single day. From deciding where to eat dinner with friends to negotiating your salary at work, these skills are incredibly useful.
Absolutely. So let's start with a simple definition. What exactly is negotiation? At its core, negotiation is a conversation between two or more people where each side wants to reach an agreement that benefits them. The key word here is conversation. It's not a fight or a competition.
That's a great point. And I want to introduce an important vocabulary word here, mutual benefit. Mutual means shared or common. So mutual benefit means an outcome that helps everyone involved. The best negotiations aren't about one person winning and the other losing. They're about finding a solution where both sides feel satisfied.
Let me give you a very common example. Imagine you're buying a used laptop from someone online. The seller wants $200, but you only want to pay $150. This is a classic negotiation scenario. You have two positions, and you need to find a middle ground.
And here's a great tip for English learners: when you're negotiating, use phrases like "I was hoping for something closer to," or "would you be open to." These are polite and collaborative. They show respect for the other person while still expressing what you want. For example, you could say, "I was hoping for something closer to $150. Would you be open to that?"
That's excellent. Another key phrase is, "let's meet in the middle." This means both sides make a small sacrifice to reach an agreement. So if the seller wants 200 and you want 150, meeting in the middle would be 175. It's a fair compromise.
Let's talk about another important concept, BATNA. That's a funny acronym, right? It stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. In simple terms, it's your backup plan. What will you do if you can't reach an agreement? Knowing your BATNA gives you confidence and power in any negotiation.
Yes. Let's say you're negotiating your salary for a new job. If you have another job offer with a higher salary, your BATNA is strong. You can walk away from the negotiation because you have a good alternative. But if you don't have any other offers, your BATNA is weak, and you might need to be more flexible. Understanding your BATNA helps you know when to push and when to compromise.
That's a perfect example. And this brings us to another vocabulary word, leverage. Leverage is the power or advantage you have in a negotiation. If you have a strong BATNA, you have more leverage. The other person knows you can walk away, so they might offer you more to keep you interested. Think of leverage as your bargaining power.
Let's talk about some practical tips for English learners who want to improve their negotiation skills. First, preparation is everything. Before any negotiation, research the topic. If you're negotiating a price, know what similar items are selling for. If you're negotiating a contract, understand the market standard. Knowledge is power, as they say.
Second, listen more than you talk. This is so important. Many people think negotiation is about making strong arguments, but actually, the best negotiators are great listeners. When you listen carefully, you learn what the other person really wants. And that information is powerful. You might discover that price isn't even the most important thing to them.
Third, use silence to your advantage. After you make an offer, stop talking. Don't feel the need to fill the silence. The other person might feel uncomfortable and start talking, and they might reveal important information or even improve their offer. Silence is a very effective negotiation tool.
That's such a good tip. Let me add a fourth tip: don't take things personally. Negotiation is about positions and interests, not about attacking someone's character. If the other person disagrees with you, that's totally fine. Stay calm, stay professional, and focus on finding a solution.
Let's look at another useful vocabulary word, concession. A concession is something you give up or agree to in order to reach an agreement. For example, you might say, I'm willing to make a concession on the price if you can deliver it by Friday. Making concessions shows that you're flexible and willing to cooperate.
But here's the thing about concessions, you should always ask for something in return. Never give something away for free. If you make a concession, say, if I do this for you, would you be willing to do that for me? This is called reciprocal concession, and it keeps the negotiation balanced.
Let me give you a real-life dialogue example. Imagine you're at a market and you want to buy a handmade scarf. The seller says, this scarf is $40. You can respond by saying, it's beautiful, but that's a bit more than I was hoping to spend. Would you consider $30?
The seller might say, 30 is too low. How about 35? And then you can say, 35 sounds fair. Let's do it. See how simple that was? You started with a polite request, you showed interest in the product, and you ended with a fair agreement. No conflict, no drama.
Now let's talk about one more important concept, win-win negotiation. This is when both sides leave the negotiation feeling happy with the outcome. The goal is not to defeat the other person but to find a creative solution that works for everyone.
For example, imagine you're negotiating with your roommate about housework. You want a clean kitchen, and your roommate hates washing dishes. A win-win solution might be, you wash the dishes, and your roommate vacuums the living room. Both of you do something you don't love, but neither of you does the task you hate the most.
That's a perfect example of a win-win negotiation. And this brings us to a very important phrase, can we find a way to make this work for both of us? This is a collaborative question that invites the other person to help solve the problem together.
Let's review some key phrases we've learned today. First, meet in the middle means to compromise. Second, I was hoping for something closer to. Is a polite way to make a counteroffer. Third, would you be open to? Is a gentle way to suggest an alternative.
Fourth, let's find a solution that works for both of us, is a collaborative statement. Fifth, I'm willing to make a concession if. Shows flexibility while protecting your interests. And sixth, can we take a step back, is useful when the conversation gets tense and you need to reset.
Before we finish, let's talk about common mistakes people make in negotiations. The first mistake is being too aggressive. If you push too hard, the other person might walk away completely. Remember, negotiation is about building a relationship, not winning a battle. The second mistake is accepting the first offer too quickly. Always take a moment to think, even if the offer seems good.
Those are great points. Another common mistake is not asking enough questions. Many people are afraid to ask questions because they think it makes them look weak. But actually, asking questions shows that you're engaged and careful. Questions like, can you tell me more about why this price is fair, or what would make this deal work for you, can reveal a lot of useful information.
And since this is an English learning podcast, let's talk about cross-cultural negotiation. Different cultures have different negotiation styles. In some cultures, like in the United States or Germany, people are very direct. They say exactly what they mean. But in other cultures, like in Japan or many Middle Eastern countries, communication is more indirect. Building a personal relationship comes before talking about business.
That's so important for English learners. When you're negotiating in English with someone from a different culture, pay attention to their communication style. Are they direct or indirect? Do they want to discuss business immediately or do they prefer small talk first? Adapting to their style shows respect and makes the negotiation much smoother. Remember, cultural awareness is a key part of effective communication.
And the third mistake is being unprepared. If you walk into a negotiation without knowing what you want, what your alternatives are, and what a fair outcome looks like, you're at a huge disadvantage. Preparation is the foundation of successful negotiation.
Remember, practice makes perfect. The best way to improve your negotiation skills is to use them in everyday situations. Try negotiating at a local market, or practice with a friend. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And for English learners specifically, negotiation is fantastic language practice. You learn to express your needs clearly, to ask questions, to listen carefully, and to use polite but firm language. These are all advanced communication skills that will make you a more confident English speaker.
Great advice, Jake. Let's do a quick recap of today's episode. We learned that negotiation is a conversation, not a competition. We talked about key concepts like mutual benefit, BATNA, leverage, and concessions. We practiced useful phrases for polite negotiation. And we learned that the best negotiations are win-win situations where both sides feel satisfied.
And remember, whether you're buying a scarf at a market, negotiating a salary, or deciding on a restaurant with friends, these skills will help you get better outcomes and build stronger relationships. Thanks for joining us on the English Daily Podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the English Daily Podcast on YouTube. Hit that like button, leave a comment with your favorite negotiation tip, and share the podcast with a friend who's learning English. We'll be back with another exciting topic next time. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep negotiating.
See you next time.